The Rock on his relationship with Triple H is really like the best and worst of WWE SmackDown. Big backstage news on WWE planning new version of The Shield. Alexa Bliss Wyatt Sicks connection revealed on SmackDown. Drew McIntyre's injury update. Jacob Fatu finally attacks Solo Sikoa. Drew McIntyre's WWE booking shameful. The Rock's WWE booking slammed. Let's dive right in. The best and worst of WWE SmackDown. WWE dropped the news that The Rock would be crashing SmackDown in New Orleans just 24 hours before the show hit the airwaves. His appearance was one of the strangest moments of WWE programming in 2025. Shinsuke Nakamura again had less than 3 minutes of airtime, while Zelina Vega reintroduced herself with a brief vignette. GM Nick Aldis promised Canadian Chelsea Green would get a match in Toronto on next week's SmackDown. Kevin Owens cut a phone promo from outside of Sami Zayn's house. Due to The Rock's appearance, a lot of the show and matches were seemingly shifted around. It showed, and not in a good way. Here's the best and worst of SmackDown this week. Number 1, best and worst. The Street Profits disrupt a good match. Immediately after The Rock's questionable segment, DIY defended their titles against Pretty Deadly. Elton Prince and Kit Wilson wasted little time, attacking the champs while their entrance music still played. The challengers proved they could be serious as they took it to Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa for the duration of the match. As the crowd started to get behind Pretty Deadly, the Street Profits came out of the crowd to interfere. They laid out both teams and did the same when the Motor City Machine Guns came down to try and stop them. The situation makes Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford seem like children who didn't get their way. After 30 minutes of the final boss, the following segment on SmackDown needed to land. It did so, but without style points. Number 2, worst. Tiffany Stratton needs more help than Trish Stratus. Ever since Tiffany Stratton won the WWE Women's title, her segments have been paint by number. She talks for a few minutes, but then Nia Jax kills the vibe by interrupting. She says she wants her title back, and Candice LeRae barks like her puppy. That's exactly what happened on SmackDown again this week, but WWE then gave Charlotte Flair a full entrance, complete with graphics during the match. The Queen joined commentary but didn't say anything she hadn't already said 100 times. Even Trish Stratus couldn't help the segment since Jax sat on both women. Stratton has done fine as champion, but needs much better booking. Number 3, best. R-Truth's homegrown tag team partner. While The Miz and R-Truth getting more time than United States champion Shinsuke Nakamura is disheartening, Truth excels with his character. His comedy is always a bright spot. On a night when a lot didn't make sense on SmackDown, Truth's work helped immensely. Before his tag team match with Miz and Carmelo Hayes, he mentioned his partner was Louisiana royalty and was born and bred in New Orleans. It turned out to be LA Knight, but Truth confused his initials for Louisiana's state abbreviation. He gave the megastar beads and a po' boy sandwich as they went to the ring. While Nakamura interfered to help Miz and Hayes win, Truth and Knight made everything work. Even Wade Barrett was incredulous as to why people loved Truth's escapades. Number 4, best and worst. A questionable decision ahead of a huge PLE. Like most of their matches before, the action was fine between Drew McIntyre and Jimmy Uso. Jimmy got a roll-up win on SmackDown, which may have helped him. However, McIntyre shouldn't be losing a week before the Elimination Chamber Premium Live event. The Scottish Warrior got his heat back with a post-match attack, but the loss shouldn't have happened in the first place. The other issue is that Jimmy is trying to set himself apart from Jay, yet he has the same entrance but from backstage, uses the same moves, and has a variation of Jay's catchphrase. Number 5, worst. The never-ending feud continues on SmackDown. Liv Morgan, Bianca Belair, Naomi, and Raquel Rodriguez have been feuding since October 2024. It was primarily to set up War Games in late November, but the two sides have continued to battle well into 2025. The strange part is that Morgan and Rodriguez belong to RAW, yet have appeared on nearly every SmackDown this year. Belair and Naomi have been all over programming as well, but are tag champs. Morgan and Rodriguez already lost in their bid to win the tag titles. That hasn't stopped bookers from continuing the feud. Belair and Naomi have faced Morgan in singles action as well. The rosters are locked in, but WWE has the same feuds on SmackDown. Number 6, best. WWE desperately missed Alexa Bliss. The majority of women in WWE have trouble cutting good promos. Most say the same things every time, including some top names. Alexa Bliss, however, is in a different class. Along with Becky Lynch, Chelsea Green, and Bayley, Bliss is one of the few women who are believable no matter what she says. After a triumphant return at the Royal Rumble, the former champ qualified for the Elimination Chamber. She mentioned how a lot changed in her absence, and that she also changed a lot while away. Throughout the promo, her tone teetered on the line of sanity. Bliss's short promo stood out on a night full of more misses than hits, especially with the SmackDown Women's division. Number 7, best and worst. Good storytelling, but bad luck for Jacob Fatu. While WWE inexplicably had Drew McIntyre lose a week before the Elimination Chamber, they didn't make the same mistake with Priest. Along with Braun Strowman, the former World Heavyweight Champ defeated Solo Sikoa and Fatu. There was clear tension between the two Samoans, but they fought together until the closing moments. Fatu accidentally hit Solo with a superkick, leading to the finishing sequence. Priest hit Sikoa with a South of Heaven chokeslam for the win. While the Archer of Infamy needed a win ahead of next week's PLE, it puts yet another loss on Fatu's resume. He hasn't been pinned yet, but has lost his last 4 matches. Sowing dissension was great, but the Samoan werewolf is far too over with fans to keep losing. Number 8. Worst. The Rock's wants Cody Rhodes. Soul? WWE made a huge deal about The Rock's last-minute addition to SmackDown this week. His spot forced a rewrite for many segments, causing a disconnected show throughout the night. It seems to be a trend with the final boss in 2025. WWE used nearly 30 minutes for the People's Champion to announce New Orleans would host next year's WrestleMania 42. After that, he took nearly 20 minutes of rambling to reveal that he and Rhodes had become friends, and so had their mothers, after WrestleMania 40. That's great for them, but the fans never saw or heard about it until after sitting through Rocky's 3 promos in 2025. He finally revealed that he wanted Rhodes to be his champion. Was it because his cousin Roman didn't have the title anymore and wanted to be a champ vicariously through Cody? Rocky also claimed he wanted Cody's soul before saying he'd expect an answer at the Elimination Chamber. The whole segment was confusing and weird, and that's us being generous. Big backstage news on WWE planning new version of The Shield. The Shield dominated WWE and earned its spot in the history books of pro wrestling. During a 77-month reign on the main roster, the trio of future WWE champions went toe-to-toe with the company's best and made for numerous memorable moments. Officials are now looking to recreate that magic. Roman Reigns joined World Wrestling Entertainment in July 2010. Seth Rollins signed that August and Dean Ambrose arrived the following April. They were called together as The Shield at Survivor Series 2012 as CM Punk's hired muscle. The rest is history, as the faction helped catapult its members into superstardom as singles competitors. Officials now aim to recreate that launching pad on the NXT brand for a group of up-and-coming superstars. After weeks of cryptic teasers, a mysterious quadrumvirate of NXT superstars debuted at the recent Vengeance Day PLE. The members were revealed to be developmental talents: Cutler James, Osiris Griffin, Dion Lennox, and Saquon Sugars. Officials are optimistic that these 4 developmental talents, such as Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and Jon Moxley, FKA Dean Ambrose, can succeed. Sources report that WWE has a goal for the new NXT heel faction to be a remake of The Shield. It was acknowledged how the debut at Vengeance Day brought up thoughts of the Retribution failing on the main roster. It was a controversial discussion among fans that night after a Triple H endorsement labeled Shield Tribution and other insults. Vengeance Day saw James, Griffin, Lennox, and Sugars attack Axiom and Nathan Frazer after retaining the NXT Tag Team Championship over Josh Briggs and Yoshiki Inamura. The stable took out all 4 superstars, but did receive "Who are you?" chants from the crowd. Later on, the quartet attacked NXT champion Obafemi after he retained over Grayson Waller and Austin Theory in the Triple Threat main event. It was also acknowledged how the group has received immense heat, but they're not done yet. The Shield-style 4-man powerbomb is to help the new act draw crowd heat. WWE's latest stable has been dismissed on social media for the most part, but it's still early enough to turn things around creatively so that the storyline connects with fans. World Wrestling Entertainment's masked NXT faction, teased for weeks, has officially debuted. The group, which includes Cutler James, Osiris Griffin, Dion Lennox, and Saquon Sugars, has not been named as of this writing. On this week's NXT episode, several talents were laid out backstage, allegedly by the masked, Shield-like faction. The show later closed with chaos as the 4 newcomers rushed out of the venue and into a getaway vehicle. Ava was seen looking at the damaged office where "No One Is Safe" was spray-painted on the wall, and Rob Stone was laid out. This fueled rumors that Stone could be written out of NXT for a call-up. Alexa Bliss's Wyatt Sicks connection revealed on SmackDown. Alexa Bliss's return at the 2025 Royal Rumble received the biggest pop of the night, and she is now a SmackDown superstar. But it seems she has her eyes on Women's World Champion Rhea Ripley. Just a little over a week before the 2025 Elimination Chamber, she broke her silence. As you know, the last time that Bliss was in WWE was in the 2023 Royal Rumble, when she lost to Bianca Belair. She made a triumphant return, and although she didn't win the Rumble, she's in a prime spot to secure one of the main women's title matches at WrestleMania 41. Alexa Bliss Syad, she's been gone for a long time, and while the names on the roster have changed, The place hasn't changed. The desperation was the same, and at Elimination Chamber, she intends to show the women in WWE that it's her division. By stating that she's in charge, she answered a question seemingly posed by the Wyatt Sicks last week on SmackDown, when jumbled words read, "Do you feel in charge?" Alexa Bliss is unfortunately not be expected to win the Elimination Chamber, but it's going to be a boost to have her presence regardless. In the last few days, rumors emerged that the women in WWE were not happy about their booking heading into WrestleMania 41. It's going to be interesting to see if anything changes in the coming 2 months. Drew McIntyre's injury update. An update has emerged on a potential injury issue for former WWE World Heavyweight Champion Drew McIntyre. McIntyre was in action to kick off tonight's February 21st episode of WWE SmackDown against Jimmy Uso. However, not long before the match, McIntyre took to social media to explain that he had liquid drained from his knee just around 45 minutes before the start of the show. McIntyre actually showed video footage of the yellow liquid being removed, which we won't show here due to its graphic nature. Wade Barrett did bring it up on commentary during the match as well. Jimmy Uso scored the upset win with a flash pinfall, but McIntyre attacked Uso after the match. As McIntyre was about to smash Uso's head against the ring post, referees and producers ran out looking to lead McIntyre backstage, but the Scot broke free and got back into the ring to hit Uso with a claymore. Jacob Fatu finally attacks Solo Sikoa. It seems that Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa can't get on the same page. Yet again, things have gone wrong for the stars. Fatu attacks Sakoa tonight on WWE SmackDown. The scheduled initially 6-man tag team match between the new Bloodline and the team of Cody Rhodes, Damian Priest, and Braun Strowman had to be canceled. Instead, it was Cody Rhodes being pulled out of the match by The Rock. Jacob Fatu decided that Tama Tonga should also sit this one out, and he and Solo Sikoa teamed up. The match was chaotic, with all 4 stars giving their all to destroy their opponents quickly. However, it was not to be, and it was a hard-hitting match for everyone concerned. The turning point came when Jacob Fatu was going for a super kick, but missed his opponents, and instead hit Solo Sikoa. This was reminiscent of last week, when Sikoa took out Tama Tonga accidentally. However, Fatu didn't look remorseful, he only furious. What followed was Sikoa being thrown around. The match ended with Damian Priest getting the pin and winning in a huge upset to end SmackDown. Priest and Strowman won to close the show. Drew McIntyre's WWE booking shameful. Drew McIntyre remains one of WWE's more consistent performers. The Scottish Warrior ignited a feud with Jimmy Uso after moving to SmackDown. Both men battled on the Blue brand this week. During a recent episode of Bro Down on Backstage Pass, former WWE writer Vince Russo gave his opinion of the match, as well as Drew McIntyre's overall booking. Drew McIntyre is in the bulletproof category. You can't hurt Drew, so beat him. Just beat him. Jimmy needs to win, so let Jimmy beat Drew. Drew will get his heat back at the end because Drew McIntyre is bulletproof, he continued. And like I said, bro, you keep labeling him mad and you keep beating him like this. And after a while, Drew McIntyre is going to mean absolutely nothing. We know he's not going over in the chamber, so keep beating Drew until he means absolutely nothing. Russo previously stated that WWE would have released McIntyre from his contract if he wasn't a great performer, claiming the company hasn't got anything to offer to the former champion when it comes to creative. I don't know how Drew McIntyre has any juice at all, thank God. If Drew McIntyre was not a great performer, he would have been future endeavored already. The only thing that keeps him relevant is his performance. They've done nothing for this guy creatively. Zero, bro. Nothing. Drew McIntyre is part of the men's Elimination Chamber matchup. It remains to be seen if the Scottish Warrior gets another shot in the main event of WWE WrestleMania 41. The Rock's WWE booking slammed. The Rock's latest promo exchange with Cody Rhodes seems to be getting mixed reactions from fans online. For those unaware, the final boss was on WWE SmackDown this week to confront the American Nightmare. The final boss revealed that following their brutal rivalry last year, he and Cody Rhodes became good friends and have even shared some good moments together. The Rock then stated that he wanted the current undisputed WWE champion to be his champion and to give him his soul. During a recent episode of Bro Down on Backstage Pass, Vince Russo shared his opinion of The Rock's promo from SmackDown. The former WWE head writer called out the company for how they booked arguably their biggest star. My takeaway from this show was, bro, are they really and honestly going to make The Rock mean nothing? Like, seriously? Because I gotta tell you, bro, listen, I worked with the dude for years and years. Russo elaborated on his criticism by calling it the worst Rock in ring promo he had come across, noting the final boss wasn't to be blamed for how it went down in the ring on SmackDown. This is the worst Rock in ring promo I think I ever saw. Mac, it really had nothing to do with his performance. It had to do with the subject matter. It had to do with the angle. It had to do with what the hell they were talking about because I walked away. Fans seem to have more questions than answers following Rocky's latest SmackDown appearance. It remains to be seen what the final boss has in store for the WWE Universe and Cody Rhodes when they meet again at Elimination Chamber. The Rock on his relationship with Triple H is really like. In the press conference afterwards, Rock was asked who he works with when it comes to his WWE plans, to which he replied Nick Khan and Paul Levesque, Triple H. Going into more detail on Levesque, Rock said, "Triple H loves this business. I've known him for a long time. He's doing a great job, and I talk with him often. What I like about Triple H is he'll present me with something, I'll like it, we'll chop it up, and I'll present him with something else. What I like about Paul is, and it's always been this way with Paul even when we wrestling, is that, hey, let's do something unpredictable, something that's bold. Regarding tonight with the final boss and Cody Rhodes and saying, I want to make you bigger than The Rock and your baby's legacy, I want to make them come true. Audacious, bold, and disruptive, I can tell Paul, and he'll say, yeah, great. And that's what I love about him, and that's the bond that we have. Nick Khan is the same way, and Ari Emanuel, who is my close business partner who is the owner, he feels the same way as well.